we're within, I think, a week or two, and I said that before, but I actually think it's real now, um, of doing our first clinical trial with Renaud and a 13-year-old here in California. We're going to do a quest that Renaud asked for. And I really have to ask Renaud, is your school just letting you out free? How the hell do you get so much done? I mean, when I was in school, it was, it was fundamentally all day doing all the bookwork and all of the other stuff. And here you are, it's almost midnight for you, and you're still up and you're taking on action research, which is the most important kind of research on the planet. And I met your academic principal. I think he's probably just given you a pass that said go do your thing and check in periodically, something like that. How do you do it?
Well, we actually have exams right now and final exams coming up. But like I manage the time by when we come back from school, we finish at 1:45 p.m. from 7 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. And then I go back and then study. And maybe it's different between us and the time zones with you. So it's, for example, when you're having in America, it's 6 a.m. It's going to be here 6 p.m. So
Oh.
it's kind of easy for me to reply at that time because I'm not going to be revising at that time. Because when I go back, I'll be revising from 3 to 6 p.m. or from. But now, because we have the exams, I'm revising more. And tomorrow, we also have our math exam on circle theorems, which is a hard topic for me. But, and also, we explained the lesson on it, and the teacher let me explain it today. So, I'm trying to manage between my studies and all of my other work. And when I'm doing my researches, it's mostly on the topics I study. So it's something like close to it while I'm doing my research. It's also means to me that I'm studying. So, but that comes after me revising for my books and everything. And I'm also a Cambridge student, so it's a little bit hard. And next year we'll be solving also the O level. And right now we have exams with grade 10 and grade 11, grade 12, AS levels, A levels, IGCSE. So yeah.
I have a question, a follow-up question. Are many of the young people that you know, your friends and colleagues, are they active like you are? Or
No.
okay, okay. I was about to say if there was some group of young people that we just need to tap into that, but no. Well, what is it that is it your family? What is it that, I mean, it's probably partly your family, it's probably partly internal drive, but what is it that motivates you for the all this work you're doing?
Well, it started from my Ecospace Sprouts project that I did because I was going to submit it to the Ministry of Education. When we submitted it, they said you don't support international schools. So then I tried to submit it outside of Oman, and then like that, I got introduced to other programs that said to me, "Oh, you should join like a member," because they liked my projects. So then, I became a researcher at Global Voice Insights, and they gave us different topics that we should do researches on, and a U reporter. So that's all slowly motivated me. But here for my family and my close members, it's quite something new to them. So I was also inspired by another global youth advocate. She is right now a UN advocate. She was also an inspiration to me. So that was the motivation for my advocacy and for my research. It started from my project that I did at first.
Wow.
So I'd like to say this. First, I'm disappointed that you stand alone among your peers. That's I really would like to see you just be a part of a bell curve of bright people. But secondly, I've met her father, and I have to say, I think there is some really profound good parenting going on in her family. Um, it, when my kids were in grammar school, there were parents that literally put up fences for their kids to do what she's doing. And I always thought, no, it's the parents' job to get out of the kids' way. And it's, as best they can, tease open doors that the kids aren't even aware of. Just open the door and say, hey, look in here and see what you see. Um, and I think that's going on in her family. I just have great admiration for her parents.
Yep. Just to presence our agenda for today, we're going to take a quick look at Canopy. We'll look at the GovHub. We will have a conversation of some sorts around the open questions. And I guess I'm wondering, is there anything else that anyone would like to cover today?
I think what may be most helpful is to position all the balls we have in the air. We have orientation and onboarding of new members. The Dee pointed out, she is attracting new people. They need a way to plug in. So that is one problematic that is very acute. The other one is David is putting up desirable properties and working on the memory and on Canopy. So I'm guessing you will want people to engage and give feedback there. And the third area that I am personally interested in, to the extent that we can find a way to engage people and get a dialogue going. I think, Suzanne, we have a feedback if you're not on mute. Thank you so much. And ironically, we can't hear you, but the feedback is there.
Right, that is
Thank you.
ironic, yes.
So the orientation, the ongoing developments on memory and desirable properties, and then what I'm basically just wondering, how do we gather people about, because I've spoken about it several times in the meetings, the recordings and transcripts are there in these weekly meetings, is basically first, how do we ground desirable properties and many other elements that are not covered by desirable properties, as well as factors that will determine how desirable properties link up to each other and to what level they need to be developed individually. How do we ground it in where MetaLayer wants to go? And how do we account from now, because now is the time, the fact that memory is not enough. People are super excited about it because there are all these new fancy technologies for memory in many different ways, but that just compounds the problem of having way too much out there that is not actionable or helpful to humans if we don't also have advanced sense making that cannot be an afterthought. So basically, sense making and grounding in objectives so that all the difficult questions can actually be answered. That's what I've been advocating for, but not sure how to. People say they want to do it, but then there's no one in Discord, so it seems to sizzle, and open to ideas if you guys can think of bringing it to life. The quest is designed to address those problems, and it will be a fantastic, deep way to approach it. But I think we need to engage people who don't have the time for the quest as well. So that's my setting the stage. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Dee, would you like to talk for a few minutes at least around the onboarding? Any thoughts that you have, even if they're not fully formed? Any questions and ideas?
I'd love to share my half-baked ideas with you all. Um, let me just first begin that we're going through this journey with the Internet Society Nevada members. We are at, I believe, 35 that have subscribed. And I believe that that will double in about a month and a half because there are people that are just running to catch up with us. That's why I'm very, very concerned about how I let them plug in the first door has to be a really attractive door. And I think just posing projects and the dialogue where they can engage in Discord is important. So we do have a challenge there in that there's some activity, David, on one Discord channel, and then the ones that we're just incubating and starting in ISOC, Nevada. If I can get some help with you all to make sure that they cross-pollinate. Maybe one is a starting point, and then we jump to the more prominent one. That would be better because I frankly don't care where it lives, so long as we keep the people engaged in the dialogue. So that's one of the challenges just in starting Internet Society Nevada to get them engaged in all of these things that we've been doing over the months. I want to work on like a starter page that will be put in uh, the in onboarding Discord. So people will start there, get a little bit of orientation, maybe not in Discord, maybe a pop out to document a couple videos. This is when I was talking about thinking about Mika's work because I want that up front. Some exciting little video clips, the conversation starters to get them excited that we don't have all the answers, but we need their brain around this and get them excited about how to channel. And I think we'll in the next couple weeks we'll have a model where we'll put it in the onboarding channel and then be able to kind of springboard into all of the projects that are ongoing. I hope to have that in 2 weeks. Okay.
So, quick question for
Yeah.
Dee. When you say you're engaging them, let me clarify. Did you bring them into this group's Discord?
To this group's, no. We have a
Oh,
Internet Society Nevada Discord where that's going to be our primary, and that's where I want them to springboard to other areas because we aren't housing everything in Internet Society Nevada Discord. We
so
we
how do
will
I get an invite?
well, that's a great question, and we will certainly invite you, but we need to find a way to connect our communities, and that's a challenge for all of us, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
it is. It is.
yeah,
If we aren't talking together, we're not talking.
yeah.
And so you have penetrated their little universe of discourse, and maybe it's a mistake to think that all of us should have the ability to participate, but I for one think it's important.
Yep, I totally agree. We need to put some thought around this. I want to reconnect with Suzanne on this very topic because for people that can't come every week, every time, they should be able to do a look back very quickly and get up to speed on how to re-engage when they do have time. That's my personal goal is to make it that easy. I am challenged with trying to keep up with all the balls that Milia has said. I am challenged with that, and I think this is giving me more clarity to make sure I address a platform that can actually give us that. You know. And it's connecting the technologies too. It's website, it's Canopy, it's Google Docs, it's email, it's the calendar. All of that needs to come together. Luckily, I have some folks that are joining that have joined ISOC Nevada that are wanting to crack that nut as well, because they're starting to have dialogue outside of ISOC Nevada, which is great. Just how do we keep them kind of connected and related? So that's all I had, David.
Well, awesome. Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you all come up with, and I think right at this time, in terms of connecting the Discord, we just do that with links. And I just dropped a link from the infrastructure projects on ISOC Nevada to the conversation that's happening in the Overweb channel. And I said, there's a related conversation here. That's what I know that we can do. If there are other ideas, I hope we, people bring them up or we discover them over time about how to best work together with multiple Discords. Let's see. All right, so we had our onboarding report, and let's move on to desirable properties slash memory slash gaps. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I just put all the desirable properties up on the GovHub. So we now have 28 drafts on the GovHub. So obviously they aren't all desirable properties because there's only 21 desirable properties. But you can see here that we have a bunch of desirable properties plus some others like this. This one is called the Teilhard test. This is a paper that I and several other people submitted to the Noosphere conference. And here's an extended abstract, Enduring Artifacts in the Age of AI, that I submitted to the Noosphere conference. We've got, but most of them are desirable properties. Some of them have revisions. I've implemented this so that you can actually see the changes between them. So there was an original one for DP1, Federated Auth and Accountability. It was published on April 22nd, and I just uploaded one today. Need to fix this for some reason. It's not coming out correctly, but we've got this note here about what was changed, and if you want to see it, I believe you should be able to click here and go directly to that specific version that is the latest revision. And as I was saying yesterday, anyone can put comments on any draft, and we're now hoping that people will start dissecting these and adding comments. You can also enable annotations. Right now it's using Hypothesis, which is a tool I like as a tool. I would like for us to start using Canopy, just because it would be great to use our tooling together. Canopy isn't quite ready yet, but that would be the next stage here. And then once we've got Canopy working so you can do comments, the next step would be for people to submit micro revisions. So right here where we say revisions, we're talking about a entire document. And I believe that might be restricted to just the author. And if it isn't quite done yet, then it probably should be, because I don't think that anybody should be able to just go ahead and put a whole new revision document on someone else's. But what I was mentioning is, in addition to the author being able to submit a revision, we're going to enable Canopy so that a micro revision, so a paragraph or a sentence or a couple paragraphs, etc., can be created as a revision request, and then the author or maybe the community, we need to decide, would be able to decide what actually gets implemented from those revisions, micro revision requests. And the the purpose of enabling people to submit micro revisions is, of course, it allows us to see a history of what's being changed, who suggested it, when they suggested it, to what revision version they did it, that they're making the suggestion, just so that we can kind of track people's contributions and recognize them for what they're doing. And I will say that it isn't in place yet, but we will be giving a badge. There'll be at least one badge for people who create uh, their first draft, and there'll be a badge for the first comment, meaningful comment that someone makes. So an emoji wouldn't count, but um, something that says, "Hey, I agree with this. This makes sense because of that." That would count, and everyone would get a badge for both their first draft and their first comment. Are there any thoughts, questions, etc., about where we're at with the desirable properties and the system? Is this workable? Does this make sense? Is it aesthetically pleasing? Is there things you'd like to change?
Can you bring that back up, David?
Sure.
So one of the questions I have just from a user experience perspective is if I'm coming in, am I being guided to comment on a document? Is that the premise for me to start to open it up and start adding my commentary? Or is it live and being promoted for the community? For example, is it will it be positioned so that, and I'm exaggerating here, where there's lights flashing that says it's calling my attention to because out of urgency or out of high activity that it needs uh, comments from the community members? How do I know? Because I can see there being hundreds of documents that need people's input. How do we know where we should engage and spend our time?
It's a great question. At this point, there's not onboarding focus with this. I would say that we want people to make comments on areas that they either have expertise and or interest in. So if you're interested in education, which I know you are, then DP10 is something that we would love to have your input on.
Okay, so it could be those subjects or those topics can be culled uh, for my interest, which if I get on your Discord, it says, where do you want to, what are you interested in? There's a little poll in the beginning. And that could link me and direct me to the things that are interested to me.
Where are you talking about? I'm looking at
When you
just...
first become a Discord user.
Oh, the onboarding, right?
Yeah, the onboarding
Yeah.
poll that you have on yours. This is ISOC Nevada that you're showing. So I don't have
Oh.
that yet. I want that.
Okay. But with the Discord onboarding, what it does is it asks you what you're interested in. Obviously, I can't show you because I've already gone through it, but I might be able to show you all this. Let's go look at the settings. So this is interesting. let's see, onboarding. Because I turned this into a community server, it opened up this possibility of the onboarding portion. And what it does, I
I think
think,
it will send a message to those who just joined the Discord, because it happens to me when I'm joining a program and then I'm joining Discord. It will automatically send you a message of an onboarding, and then you can ask that. It's going to be an AI bot, I think so, and then you can ask them questions.
that's great. And I had forgotten that. So thank you for bringing that up for sure. Uh, the part that I think Dee wants to implement, which I think you might want to check that part out that she's talking about, but part that happens when, immediately when you join this Discord, it will be asking you what do you want to do in the community? And I've got a bunch of different answers, and based on each of these different answers, there's a particular channel that's assigned to it, and you get to choose an emoji and a channel. So when someone comes here and clicks build, it's going to direct them to the build channel here, which is builders. So we'll take you right there to builders. I think you'll want to implement that, but I guess why I bring that up is it doesn't allow you to send people outside of Discord. It only allows you to send people to channels. So what I've done in multiple channels that are related to either the GovHub or the desirable properties, I put in a message here. The 21 desirable properties and other drafts are now published here. And I put it here at the GovHub as well. And I put it in the open questions conversations, because these are the places that people are either discussing desirable properties or it's relevant. So Dee, I would be interested to understand, given what I've shown you, what's possible here in Discord, how you can imagine that we might be able to onboard people towards getting them excited and fired up about making commentary on the specific desirable properties that they're both interested in and have expertise in.
I am going to think through this in much more detail, but I can already tell you that you as a human are doing a lot to patch our distributed understanding of where things live and where they're being worked on. So I think that's a lot to ask for in general. And I applaud you for trying to keep those conversations and threads going. But that's where we need this whole program to help, because we can't consume as much information as we're all creating, and we can't synthesize as fast as we need to. So we need help. And the AI, the ability for AI to help us with that by saying, a button that says catch me up, right? We sort of have that in our chats and our recordings. Catch me up to what's going on. That's what we need here. Catch me up since I last logged in and talked about this.
That's interesting. Where would that live? Do you see that living on the governance hub or in Discord, or what would that look like?
I think on both. At any entry point, you should be able to have a catch me up button. Just super simple, but that's what I would want. Just like in life, I want an easy button, and and you press it. So we're kind of coming up to that, but wherever the entry points are, we need to be able to go there, and then be asked, and then be able to add more, because we're gonna help AI kind of find our path based on, catch me up on X or catch me up only in this area because that's what I want to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get that fully specced out, and I'd be happy to work with you and whoever else on Nevada ISOC that's AI inclined, et cetera, and we can figure out how to implement it both as a Discord bot, but also as a governance hub feature as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Desirable property, universal. It's a human requirement here.
Does anyone else have any ideas around this in terms of, helping people figure out where to go, how to contribute at this time? Well, if you do, if you're not seeing this live and you happen to see this recording, well, reach out to Dee if you're interested in that. And helping us do the onboarding and helping people figure out how they can contribute. Well, it looks like there's a lot of energy for an Instagram, right? That's what I'm seeing here. So, Renaud, excited for you to go ahead and set that up. If you need any icons, art, or anything, can connect with me on WhatsApp and we can get you whatever you need. But yeah, I would love to have you just move forward with that, and let's use this as an experiment. And if it makes sense, we can figure out whether TikTok. So why don't you tell us, at least your initial thoughts on how you would do Instagram for something like this, and like who's your target, who, what are the types of content, et cetera, that you think will really work? What's your starting point?
Well, I think maybe for an Instagram account, maybe you should in the bio you should explain what is Metal Layer in a short form that will attract the youth and like-minded people, and we could advertise Canopy as Salwa said, which was a great idea. To like advertise Canopy, then who the people who are interested can join Discord, and maybe we can post also recordings of our meetings. For example, if we're answering some questions that maybe if we have followers, they are asking us question, maybe we should address that. My target is like-minded people that are interested in Metal Layer and something close to that, and youth, because I think they're interested a lot, because I also like when joining programs, they're mostly focusing on Instagram accounts, and they're having active engagement. So I think it will be a great idea for Metalayer to open an Instagram account. And also Micah said he could help with the reels and videos, so he can be the content creation manager.
Awesome. I really like the idea of have funneling people to Canopy. What was the other place you said? Funneling people to Discord. And then I would also say, what are the specific desirable properties that we would want to focus this Instagram group on initially? So that's another thing to think about. It's like to go through the desirable properties and think, okay, well, let's for this next week or month on Instagram, let's focus on this one. And we know that this particular one, whether it's education or whatever it is
So you
one
mean
that we think that this audience will have some expertise and also interest in providing commentary.
so you mean like each month a theme?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, desirable property theme. And maybe there's even, some other great, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's a theme and that theme will connect to a desirable properties. It could connect to a use case in Canopy. It could connect to a channel in Discord or multiple channels in Discord. However, but that's kind of the thought. The first
I would
step
like
will be
to
to
put the
educate.
focus on what Renat said in the very beginning is that if people are interested, we can address their questions. And I think that is very important, especially with something like a meta layer. Dee is nodding. Dee and I were in this situation in the Human Energy Salon in Paris. I attended in person, and half the audience is deeply engaged in the noosphere, and the other half, like my husband, and some really great scientists who were sent there by their advisor or somebody who is familiar, came like new to it. And when people asked, because they really wanted to engage with the concept, there was no meaningful response to their question. So it's absolutely key to be able to answer people's questions about the meta layer, and that will also help figure out where to have them land next. But in the first instance, there is this huge bridge between whatever notion they will form based on the short Instagram thing and their life experience and what we have in mind or what is currently in the works.
And I think for that level of consistency, foundational knowledge, that's where Mika's work in synthesizing that in a short video gets them that common introduction. If we can arrive to that point without having, oh, here's 4 hours of intro to have one definition nailed down, that would be great. It needs to be short and sweet.
Yeah,
And
this also
clear and
relates to,
clear.
absolutely. This also relates to what Micah said. The first step will be to educate our audience what is the meta layer. And I think Instagram is would be a great way to do that. We can do that with I think most effectively probably with images and video, probably most effectively with video, but also images, and really talk about the
Okay,
fundamentals
we're
about
getting some fire in the channel here because Salwa said we can have a short video answering a question. And Renat said yes, and I also am jumping up and down inside because if they ask their questions and we're able to address those questions in short videos, that is engagement. Because the initial definition is just like how you open it up, but then people will have questions naturally, and that is where we actually get to connect if we are able to answer those questions like the people where I was were not.
that's so you're saying we could get questions from any channel, right? I mean, it could be coming in from almost anywhere, and if we get those to Renat or whoever's working with her on Instagram, then those can become part of our not only well, they can become part of what goes up on Instagram, but also we probably need to create some kind of frequently asked questions that is either living at Discord and or the website, etc.
Yeah, and there's like a feature in the story that there's like a sticker that you can say, ask us questions, and then you can address them in each page in the Instagram story, and it's going to last like 24 hours. So maybe we can do that each time a week. And then we can address like most frequent questions that we get asked, other than maybe doing videos if we're not available.
Love it. Absolutely. Sawa, would you like to add in anything? I know that Amelia kind of summarized what you had put in, but if you have anything else you wanted to add.
No. I like the idea very much, and I'd like to be included in the process of making Instagram page and making the videos and so on. Yeah.
Amazing. Great. Awesome.
Maybe Solwa, you can be the outreach manager. What do you think?
Nice. Yeah. Why not?
Well, all right. Are you two connected already on WhatsApp?
Yes, kind of. And mostly we're also connected on Instagram.
Oh, cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
awesome. I need to get on to Instagram again. I mean, I'm on it, but I'm just not really on it, not actively. Anything else that needs to be said or wants to be said around this Instagram?
Micah just said, we've been in this room for some time. We have an idea of what is the meta layer. So answering questions from audience who are hearing it for the first time would be very engaging. And I agree. And I suspect that we would be surprised at how much debate we in the core would have trying to answer their questions.
Well, let's figure out a way to get these questions, as like you're saying, Renard, that totally makes sense. Let's see if we can, put that into practice and make that a real funnel. And then maybe I guess we should probably start an Instagram channel and Discord so that there could be some conversations between people who are working on Instagram. And then somewhere we probably need to have a repository of the questions that come up as well. And I'm not sure what the best way, if that should be a Google Doc or if that should just be an Instagram channel. Maybe that's an Instagram channel, and anybody could put a new question in there, and then we create a thread. Are people familiar with Discord threads, by the way? So basically on Discord, it's a messaging system, and it by default is flat, meaning when you put in a message, the last message goes to the bottom. So it's a really good way to find out see the chronology of messages. As it turns out, that's not always the best way to have a conversation because things don't come in, they come in asynchronously. They don't come in order. So there's this idea of a thread. It's actually a feature of Discord called a thread, and you can turn a post or Discord message or post into a thread by or you can start it as a thread. And so what I'm suggesting is that we create a thread for each new question and we answer that question in the thread. And that therefore, so we'll create an FAQ channel, and it will, in the first level, the top level, it will be the questions and then the answers, which there may be some discussion about, right? That's what the thread is for. It may not just be that one person has the answer, and we may need to refine the answer over time or change it over time. So I'll go ahead and put that up. It'll be an experiment. Let's see if that works. If it doesn't, we'll come up with something else.
Yeah, for me, yeah, and I think I've been trying to get partners to work with concerning the early warning as the meta layer, but I find so many people don't know the meta layer. So you find that first of all, I love to enlighten them about the meta layer. Then later on bring up what is the early warning as the meta layer. So
Did you? I didn't hear the last bit.
Maybe there's a problem with the connection.
Oh, okay. Well, Micah, I don't think we heard the last bit of yours, but
hello,
can
you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm having issue with my connection. Yeah, so I was saying in the part of people giving out the questions that they haven't heard about the meta layer, I think I will contribute much on it because I have a lot of questions that people asked me, and I realized, not so many people know about the meta layer.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I was talking with David earlier on, telling him that first of all, regarding the early warning as the meta layer, we should have a pilot because you find that I only
Missing you.
Oh, happened again. I, by the way, does everybody know what the early warning application that Micah is working on is about? Okay, when he comes back, I'll ask him to tell you a little bit about that as well. It's been going in the background for since late January. And I just did create an FAQ channel, so it's there in Discord, and yeah, we can use it to start threads. So if anyone, Micah, I know you've captured, I hope you've captured those questions. If you still have those available, we can create threads for each of them in the FAQ and start answering them. I don't know if he's even hearing me at the moment.
Will we have time today for a Canopy this demo?
Yeah, let's make time for that. Where are we in our, let me see, where are we in our agenda? Just want to make sure I remember what we're.
And I want to clarify, is this the new Canopy or the old one?
Well, I would be showing you all the latest version of Canopy as of what's been happening in the last couple days. And so I think we in our agenda we had onboarding, desirable properties, memory and gaps. We didn't really talk about memory yet. We have Canopy, which I can go in. We have GovHub, and that kind of relates to the desirable properties. So I showed that earlier. And we have how to engage people. We've talked a little bit about that. So let me go ahead and well, I guess before we go into Canopy, Milia, do you want to close up the desirable properties memory conversation?
Sure, I would like to invite everyone who isn't in the Discord of the Meta Level Open Questions to go there, because we have had really good contributions from Reed and indirectly through me, Marc-Antoine Parent, because they put words to what I've been struggling to illustrate. Marc-Antoine Parent said, memory is just the first step. Then you have this huge, colossal amounts of stuff out there. And what you need is a way to capture various perspectives and sense making and contested sense making. So if we want a chance in a world with AI and bots and all kinds of malicious and unintended poor use, we really need to have sense making weaved in. I know that it's super exciting to do all kinds of memory tokens and stuff, but it all really won't help if the human cognitive load is so far exceeded by what's out there that it doesn't reach anyone and lead anywhere. And in terms of desirable properties, in the hand-drawn scheme, that is the welcome mat into the open questions channel on the Meta Level Discord, it says desirable properties are a small piece of everything we need to figure out. And Reed, who contributed to that channel, put it really marvelously and vividly in there on how, if we don't have the connective tissue of the sense making on top of the memory, all these desirable properties in isolation are going to add up together effectively to actual agency and all the other things that we are striving for. So I encourage everyone watching and present, if you aren't already on the Open Questions channel, to go there at least to see what we already got from people contributing, because it really explains the gaps in the hand-drawn thing better than I ever could.
I'd like to point out that she mentioned Marc-Antoine Parent, who's not in this group and is so oversubscribed working both on SenseCraft, but on a platform called discoursegraphs.com, which uses AI to turn deep conversations into discourse graphs, and it's open source. But I realized that having a physicist like Milia contribute to the conversations that I was having in my tribe warranted creating a new signal channel, which we call Final Cause, and it is purely to explore the large question of what purpose do we serve doing this? And once you've established what purpose you are serving, then you have the entire universe of possibility of how to do it. And that I think it's a critical issue. And so I created this little signal group with Milia and Marc Antoine and Sunny Bhatia, who teaches computer science at West Point, but has four of his cadets who heard a lecture from me decide to work in this space. And if you think about it, having four cadets in the U.S. military, their leadership material, playing games, thinking about the space that we're thinking about, how good is that? Now, I'm not saluting the United States and the way it's being governed. I think that sucks. But the thought that we can grow from inside, deep thinkers, is really, really critical. Over.
Thank you, Jack, for bringing that up. Actually, Dee has contributed tremendously to illustrating the importance of articulating the purpose of what we're doing, because she generated a potential configuration, one of many, for the architecture of the meta layer, and a number of questions that are raised if we start just without a clear purpose to anchor in. And that's also in the open questions channel. And the questions are fantastic and they sound absolutely unsolvable, all dozens of them, until you start with the purpose of why we're building this, what's the point, who will be using it and what for, and then it all resolves. So not only the purpose is not a nice to have, it's actually impossible to resolve the bunch of conundrums and paradoxes that we are going to face if we don't anchor there and start with what are the big objectives of the meta layer.
Awesome. Well, you and Jack, since you guys are having that conversation, can bring that into the meta layer. What I would suggest is a draft being created that is a full articulation of that purpose as you all see it, or whoever wants to create that. It doesn't have to be from this particular Final Cause group, but it could be, or we do. Given what you've just said, Milia, about that being so clear, so important, which I think it was always kind of just implicit in how we did the desirable properties, kind of, I guess, more or less based on what was in the MetaWeb book. But I think you're right. We need to make it explicit and examine it and make sure that we actually have a full articulation of it. Because if we have either an implicit one or one that doesn't really cover things, then it's not going to serve that purpose that you're talking about.
I think that to build this momentum and movement that you have, being implicit was wonderful because we have a shared energy, shared aspirations for humanity. But now that we're about to build the desirable properties and everything else that's needed as components for the architecture, if we want the desirable properties book to be coherent and stand the test of time, we need to surface them, because A, we will discover that people are interpreting it differently, and B, we will discover that we need to negotiate interfaces between various aspects of the goals, and that there will also be some gaps that we will have to address. So that's why it's great to let's try to bring people together and start drafting, and you'll see how it'll just spring to life. It's like swimming or talking about swimming, you know, the sensations and the experience are going to be just by virtue of doing it. Quest is one way, but we can also do it in poor man's quest through less time engagement heavy interactions.
I agree, and I'd like to just chime in with that, because I think we're all collectively challenged in having that framing is so important, but also, you know, just being able to validate that what we are creating and thinking and solving actually fits into this bigger purpose. I do think definition needs to be there. And then we need to challenge ourselves with a criteria where we talk about any one of these properties, the interoperability, the assumptions are really key, and the level of quality that we can't just assume is in there is needs to be visited and revisited. So even if we examine it today, I think there needs to be a constant exercise to keep challenging it as we evolve. That's the only way we can keep abreast of it all. It's never going to be static. And today, one of the challenges we have in just software development is that we code for specific reasons today. We don't code for the changes that are about to come. And those that are in this business, that's a hard nut to crack about, you know, future cases, innovation shifts where, you know, Milia gave an example about, you know, the integrations, and some of this goes away. APIs go away, you guys. I hate to tell you, APIs are going to disappear with AI. That is scary, because there's no validation or security that maintains the interoperability with them today. Those are the things that keep me up at night. But that needs to be in our criteria, because even if we talk about it and can't solve it, we need to just recognize it's a problem that we're going to have to contend with. Okay, so architecture discussion, as I shared with David, I put that out there, but I'm probably not the best person to process that at the technical level. There's just too much. And that needs to either be broken down and have a better champion than me to facilitate that. But I will continue to engage at the level that I can to bring up these issues that I deal with every day in my normal world. Okay. So, but Milia, I always applaud you for digging in. If we leave something for the Discord or for some discussion, I can almost guarantee that overnight you will have gone deep to a level where it's a beautiful thing. I'm complimenting you because I wish I had the capacity to do that. And I know it's because you're not engaged in a consultancy right now. You're in between, but I'm going to see you're productive right now with this. Love it.
Yes, I can dive while I'm in between missions. I want to say, Yes, step one, purpose, ground everything in there, make it explicit. And then, yes, we will find ourselves with the issues of interoperability, both in terms of the fact that all the systems of today are built to harvest your data, to capture your attention, to capture your affection, to distract you, to make you passive. Consumer of content, to make you accept things uncritically, and we want to shift away from all of this. So the design of the Noospheric thread in the education context and of the meta level is going to go against the grain of a lot of things that already exist.
Yes.
And secondly, because of what you just said, Dee, it's totally moving pieces situation where you are building an actual infrastructure where other building blocks are transforming, changing, disappearing. Like Skype, there is no more Skype. It just doesn't exist anymore. Or you made it for this version and that version is no longer supported. So yes, I've also experienced that in the context of software development and products, and it's it's a very real concern. And I think that if we could attract a few people with architecture perspective mixed in with other perspectives, that would be very valuable. So when you say, Dee, that you are worrying about us being able to validate what we are creating fits into the bigger purpose and create criteria to stay oriented, do you mean what we are creating now as in Canopy and desirable properties?
Yes, and then what we haven't even started. So, you know, the
Okay.
the added desirable properties and capabilities, I should say, like in Instagram, we're creating this to fill a hole. We gotta really step back and say, is there a simple way we can fill 30, 40, 50, hundreds of holes? And that's a better way of thinking about solving the problem. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
this is each topic we embrace, you guys. This is a whole 2-3 year discussion, and that's what's so enriching. And I hope we can find a way to organize ourselves so that we can get to a lot of it and bring on more people so there's other thinkers. David, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a couple things that just came to mind. Wanted to posit that this, I don't know, I'm calling it charter, but maybe there's another word for it, but this idea of putting together our purpose, goals, and definitions, uh, whether that could be one of the ways that someone initially engages with this project, like just on a goal level where they're looking at it and commenting on whether what we're trying to do, what we say we're trying to do with respect to the purpose of it really meets their needs. So that I don't know.
I think that is a way to engage with the entire onion. So for if in case, I think probably everyone here has seen the onion, but it's got the people who are driving the civic masonry of tomorrow, who are actually engaging in developing the standards in the iterative, transparent, tried and tested process that was used. People who are trying to technically enrich it, like us here and others who are contributing. And then the leaders of communities whose lives will be transformed using this and who will hopefully adopt it to do something in their everyday life with each other and particular individual users. So if we go at the goal level, that can engage the full spectrum of populations who would shape it and bring it into their lives.
Awesome. So it will be interesting to see if there's some good ways of incorporating that, so we can do that experiment and see if that's a really effective, perhaps an effective way to engage people. I don't think it's the only way, but I think
It's
it is a
an
really
entry point, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on that before we jump into a little bit of Canopy?
Just one comment. I will begin that discussion. I'll just begin that discussion, and I will share that and put it on a Discord, channel.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, by the way, do people, I mean, what do you want to call first of all, do you like the idea of bundling purpose, goals, and definitions together? And then if that works, what do we call that? Is it our charter, our mission, or how do we want, I mean, maybe that's something that we'll decide over time, but if there's any ideas or things that resonate that people want to mention
Like a
now.
prime directive. It's
Yeah.
it's like a Star Trek thing.
Prime directive is a possibility. Okay.
We don't want to alienate Star Wars people.
Oh, okay, yes.
And
So what's the other term?
manifesto comes to mind.
Oh.
I mean,
only
and manifesto
joking.
could be a part of that. There could be also, it could be that it's whatever this thing is, it includes our purpose, goals, definitions, and there's a manifesto statement. But I will put manifesto as a possibility as well. If you have any other ideas, there's a thread here around that, but probably be good for us to come up with some languaging around it. All right. Well, I'm going to show you where we're at with Canopy. It's in process. I didn't prepare and go through everything to make sure it worked. And I want to be clear that Canopy is not going to be a fully decentralized product or system. And that's important because the meta layer is wanting to be progressively decentralized. And as I was looking into initially building Canopy, I was thinking about, oh yeah, well, I want to do it decentralized and everything, and that'd be super cool. But I also just realized that the tooling really isn't there to do it quickly and easily. And I also thought that our priority, more so than creating the most decentralized project, is to create an experience that people enjoy and that people see value in and that people want to come back to. And so that's where I've been focusing on. Whether we've done a good job of that, that's a whole nother matter. But so Canopy is installed on on my Chrome browser right now, and I can click here to open it up. No, actually I have to go to side panel, open side panel. So this is Canopy. And you may have noticed that there was actually something here in the lower right-hand corner earlier. That's the Open Canopy fab or control. So you see it right here. And when I hover over it, it shows me this is for the page. This is meant to be for the entire page. And it's probably not quite working, but the idea here is that for this page, you could discuss it. You could bookmark the page. You could react to the page. You could share the page. You can follow it, and you can copy the text of the page as well. That's not as useful. I mean, because you usually don't want to copy the entire text. But this is also the same thing that comes up for a particular piece of text. So you see, as I move my cursor, it shows me things that are near my cursor. So this first one comes up. And if I move here, you come to this one and you can see that it says two smart tags. Is you saw here there, this is the proximity badge. So that means there's two things that are associated. As you get closer and closer, it will show you the actual context menu and information for this anchor. This is an anchor. This is a first class object. So this is treating a piece of text, and it also works for images, etc. And in the future, video and audio, I'm working on tweets right now as well. Treats these as first class objects. What that means is, like I said, you can bookmark them, you can react to them, you can share them, you can follow them. Follow just means, in a sense, it's kind of like you're bookmarking and you're going to get a notification when it changes. And so these are I call them footer actions. It's probably not a very descriptive thing other than that they're in the footer of this widget. But these ones are smart tags. As you can see here, only the discuss one is active. There is a bridge one so you see that there's one discussion on this page, one message basically in the discuss tab. There's also a bridge as well. I disabled bridges at the moment because there were too many loose things that I would need to resolve for them. And I wanted to just focus on the basic functionality. And the idea here is that anyone will be able to create a new smart tag and that they can manage, once there's more than one smart tag available, you could manage what smart tags show up here for you. So you could actually make it so that only discuss comes up if that's what you wanted. Right now, I'm showing these other ones and showing them disabled just to give people a sense. So you in the future, you'll be able to put a task to a piece of to an anchor. You'll be able to quote an anchor, which would be like starting a discussion, but you're actually quoting the anchor. You'll be able to do a question. So you'll be able to attach a question here. You'll also be able to create a bridge from this piece of text to another piece of text somewhere else. Is there a question? Any questions? You'll also be able to tag pieces anchors. And so the idea here is that there's a certain set of information that we'll want to know for every single anchor, but then someone could decide that they want to add additional information. So they would select or create a schema. So a schema basically says what information needs to be provided such that it is creating a coherent label or tag. And I'm imagining that different industries will create different schema and people will use the schema that is of their interest when they tag things. So multiple people could tag this particular anchor and use different schema. And their communities would pick up on the specific tag / schema that is useful to them. Any questions on this context menu?
I love the idea of the schema, but where do you design schema and where do I as a user see like what fields my schema requires me to fill?
Well, it hasn't been implemented yet, but you would click here and then it would come up with a overlay that allows you to specify which schema you're going to use, or I guess from there you could create a new schema if that's where we put that. but yeah, there will need to be some schema management things that have not been created at the moment. But the idea is anyone could create any schema and anyone could use any schema. Well, I guess we would need to decide, can people make private schemas or are all schemas public? I don't know. That's up to you guys. That's up to the community, right? So if it's a public schema, then obviously anyone could use it and see them. If it's a private schema, I guess then only people within the privacy scope would be able to see it.
Right, but it is a kind of object that is a gateway into the sense making part of the architecture. So that's exciting. I wonder if we could bring people, Wink Jack, who can help us think about the sense making layer from the start. I understand that we want a viable prototype where we could start testing with communities, because it is absolutely essential to get it into real life in order to stay aligned with things that are actually going to be useful and used by people. But we can try to choose the path of minimal resistance in terms of tooling availability and everything to match a meaningful adoption wave plan, or like hope, that gives enough flexibility to account for the opportunistic nature of getting adopters, but also gives us clarity on what are we offering them and what are we not offering them, so that we can have credibility, so that we can build a reputation, so that we can set expectations if some important things are only going to come later, but yet have a really meta layer meaningful experience, because this is not just another product where people are going to chit chat and link things up. This is going somewhere beyond. So I just wonder if we can have a way to, Dee has been proposing, talk about use cases and then figure out which parts would need to be implemented and working for which use case, and which are the easiest to get to so that we can get it on the ground. Basically have a feedback loop for the prototype development so that it's aligned with the overall trajectory, as Dee was saying, like which criteria do we want to meet? And it's also deployable with human users in a way that stays authentic to the overall meta layer trajectory.
Yeah, well, if Jack wants to be part of that conversation, then everyone is who cares about sense making is welcome to be part of that conversation. The tag has not been implemented, and if people have ideas and want to talk about that, the Canopy Alpha channel would be a great place to start a conversation about what tagging and labeling needs to be able to support the type of sense making that people think is important. So yeah, I
Okay,
invite
sorry,
that.
I threw too much at once. So that's one cluster. But another, and it's very technical. Another cluster is use cases, so that we can think about the roadmap for Canopy in a way that we bundle together things that create use cases that are meta layer specific, and that we can test with populations ASAP. So basically, that's more human story of holistically all features of Canopy and guiding the prototyping process to prioritize areas that would enable us to do waves of adopters under certain value proposition, under certain expectation setting. So that's separate from the need to account for sense making from the get-go, in order not to drown in the volume of data and humanity loses.
Yeah, I think you,
Yeah, that's a different one.
yeah, I think you're making a great point there. Wait, did someone trying to say something?
Renat gave a heart, so I was happy.
Oh, okay. What I was just going to say is you're making a great point. And so, with respect to the tag, the use case that I was operating on is essentially there are a bunch of people out there that are labeling content for AI. And so that's the primary use case is for training models. So that was one of the things that I thought that people, because they call it annotation, and they're annotating not only web pages, but they're annotating other types of information as well. So it's not web centric necessarily, but there is like you can go onto the web and find companies that are about labeling information that's on the web. And so what I was thinking was that that was a particular use case. But here's the interesting thing that you're bringing up. I don't have a community that would necessarily want to use that. So in with that criteria, I mean, in terms of creating things that we have communities to test them out, this is not one of them, at least not at the moment. So I think that's a great idea. How do you guys think that we can elicit use cases
Can I
best?
start by saying, so there are use cases at the level of tasks like annotation, etc., and there are use cases at the level of communities. So when I think about turning the power dynamics upside down relative to how it functions today, which the meta layer has the potential to do, I'm thinking about community use cases. So D is nodding. I yield the
have
floor.
I've been thinking a lot about this because I'm crazy about the universal application of what we're coming up with. It cannot just work for our intimate group. It has to be universally applicable because that's the level of challenge we have with AI on top of everything we're doing in the internet. And we live, work, and play on this internet. And so I begin there. And the use cases that I'm typically accustomed to are in two camps. The nonprofit service part of my world, and that is local, regional, national, international. It's planetary at this moment. And then there's enterprise for real business, real supply chain, a lot of dependencies, and there's far less experimentation. It has to be exacting to run, sort of power the world of businesses. So that's a lot on each side of those categories for me. And I think when we embark on testing, we need to have something to test. Before I engage a community or a person to go on back, I need to set some expectations or remove expectations and just drop them in and see if they even can make their way out of the paper bag. But in either case, we've got far more to do amongst ourselves because every time, David, and this is not a criticism, it's just where we are in the process, in the movie, as one of my people say, where are we in this movie? It is that we need some preparation, and although we're trying to get everybody's opinions in and get everybody to engage at any level, I think when you're about to do the testing, you need to have a little bit more clarity on what they're seeing, what they're expected to do as an outcome so they themselves can operate effectively during the test. I just don't think we're quite there yet, especially when we're saying some of these things aren't there. Okay, then explain what's not there and what's expected to be there. That helps fill that gap. But when you're in this whole testing model, there's a lot of other human elements that need to be considered to make it a very, very positive experience from the get-go. We're not quite there. So we need to sort of spend a little time thinking about that. And then in parallel, probably think about the communities that would be able to properly test our desirable properties, how people can engage in adding those and people can access and set up. And there's so many different parts of that movie that need to be considered. So that's another big thought.
Yes. When I think about these cases, I think about people collaborating, people solving their problems together within a community, among communities.
You have to
Those people
define
could be
community.
sitting in any kind of social group category. But I think it would really be helpful if we shape a few scenarios of what our imagination tells us of what people could be using this for, and then get some concept feedback from communities we are connected to before dropping them into the prototype, and try to figure out how to bundle the feature development waves so that we can get something viable for people to experience. And whether it's pretty and intuitive, those things are always experienced as iterative process and polishing process. That is natural and normal. But since we're trying to build things that interact with people in ways that are not trying to steal their data, attention, affection, and manipulate them the way things currently work, then we need to have extra anchor into what it is we do want people to be able to get out of this and do with it. And if we ground it in a few real life scenarios and discuss the concept to get feedback from people who actually need it. Let's remember, we're building something people need. We're not pushing something for random reasons. We're building something people need. That's what Skinu Passione, what is making us all so enthusiastic about this. So let's tap into that need, give it shape, and figure out our canopy roadmap accordingly.
Yeah, I actually think that the roadmap would be a great part of this charter, whatever, goals, purpose, definitions, and roadmap just seem like a really important thing.
Roadmap is a consequence of the charter. But
Okay.
as Dee was saying, things that we plug into are going to keep moving. So our roadmap has to live and change and evolve. But what we want people to enable people to do is going to be the North Star, something we keep driving towards.
Yeah.
New forms of collaboration, so that will stay there. But the roadmap has to do with the tech realities, and will keep shifting under our feet. We have to keep adapting it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're going to try to create this charter mission prime directive, and that's going to remain pretty solid. It's not saying it won't ever change, but it'll be slow changing, I think, at least once we've got it. But the roadmap, I mean, that can have more frequent changes, and that will probably change a lot based on what's happening in the overall context. So keeping them separate totally makes sense, but they're things that someone who sees the prime directive, they're going to want to see the roadmap next, probably. Well, we're a little bit past time. I want to presence that we have a special meeting next week. It's going to be a hybrid in-person Zoom one called Collective Intelligence plus AI Designing Interfaces for Coordination, Human Coordination, I think. But anyway, it's connected to Human Tech Week. And Suzanne and Dee are going to come through and help out. We're going to then go to the Human Tech Week opening night, and we're going to try to talk to a bunch of people about what we're doing and see if we can find more people who are brilliant and interested in this work and channel, even if we just find 3 or 4, that would be amazing. And uh, if people, so I had planned 90 minutes, the first 90 minutes being this experiential workshop where it will be very much like the breaking out of silos workshop that we had for Learning Planet. And then the last hour, I'm interested in what you all think would be a good use of that time. Renat?
Is it going to be held in San Francisco?
It's in San Francisco and it's also on Zoom.
Because I got invited to it to come to San Francisco, from May 11th to May 15th.
From the 11th through the 15th?
May 11th
Wow.
to 15th.
Okay, well, the
Um,
event's on the 11th.
Yeah. So they say that there's a lot of partner events and there's going to be a main event on May 11th. I think that was related to that.
Is it Human Tech Week?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what this event is related to. Are you coming?
No, I can't. I have exams and everything. And it's really hard
Oh,
because the Middle East is back again. The problem, and today they hit in Muscat. So yeah, it's hard.
that's your capital, Muscat?
Yeah.
And when you say they hit, you mean Iran, or what do you mean when
Yeah,
you say?
the problem is back again, and then they hit in Muscat.
Oh, wow. Okay. It had seemed like they were they've been less focused on Oman than say Qatar and
Yeah.
Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, that would have been so lovely. I bet we'd have people flying in to just meet you. But it- hopefully soon that more of us can get together, and those of us who can't, it would be great to have you on the Zoom. If you have any ideas, it looks like maybe Human Energy, who knows, maybe a co-sponsor, and I think D between, is Sheila coming? Do you know?
On Monday, yes, we will both be there.
Awesome. And so you all should be thinking about how to that use some time, well, presenting around Tayar's vision and what the noosphere. I can actually think about a section in the workshop that you all taking 5 to 10 minutes to ground what the noosphere is would be really helpful. So we should talk offline about that. If there's some,
Yeah,
I was
let's
also going to
stretch
just
it.
say that maybe we do a Canopy demo after the first 90 minutes, so we can finish that up and show the new people that as well. But are there other things that we'd want to cover? Like, for example, D, maybe you're going to talk about onboarding, or maybe Milia, maybe you'll talk about the open questions and this whole charter and directive and goals and all that. So it's open. This is our event.
That's great. We should carve out some more time before that so we can prepare. But yeah, I'm on board. I'm planning on being there.
Excellent.
Suzanne is too.
I can make a few slides and open questions and credit people who contributed to clarifying the importance also.
Awesome. Anyone else that would like 5 minutes or so to talk about, their activity and their work on the meta layer, meta level?
Uh, I don't want to do that, but I do want to tell you that I've put out an invite to Sunny Batia's wife, um, who has been vibe coding UEs for AI collaborative intelligence in concert with her husband at West Point. And I'm hoping at least it would be ideal if Sonny could come as well because he has cadets that are doing this. But at least his wife might be possible.
You're talking about virtual West Point, I believe, is on the east coast of the country, or where is it? I don't know.
West Point is in New York,
Okay.
and it's the U.S. Military Academy.
Right. Okay. But
And
they're not going to be in San Francisco. So she would be coming
no,
virtually.
she would come on Zoom if at all.
Okay. Well, we would love to have her for sure. And
Well, I would like her there.
yeah.
Um,
Well, awesome. If anyone has a burning desire to speak at the event, if there's something in particular that you want to talk about, we do have some extra time, and this is our event. So, all right.
So I would like to just up the popularity of David's session because I think it took a bit to put it on the map. If you look at the planning of this, I think they have it's like a very early session. If you all can accept the invitation, that would be great. We want to get as many people pre-registered for the event as possible.
Yeah, and we've got 70 now, I think.
Yeah.
Or 65 or 70. So it if we get 30 people in person and 30 people online, I would be super excited. But we're not there yet because
where's the invitation?
I will put it in chat right now. Let's see. Okay.
Is it under, are they doing partner events at lovable.app? Is that?
I don't, oh,
Ah,
wait,
I think so.
who's that?
Let me put it in the chat.
Okay. Oh, is this the list of all the different partner events?
Yeah, it's one
There's
way
a
of getting,
lot.
I'm sure there's more. But
Okay. Oh, cool.
it's right like on top. It's in the first row. So get people there.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, by the way, I looked into the human energy list and it just gives LinkedIn. So I think if we want to do an email, then I'll add, do you have access to their emails, through Sheila?
No, just go directly through Sheila. We have a whole communication team. So she just needs to turn that on.
Okay. And what I could do is I could make either you or Sheila a co-host. So you all could just invite them through the application.
Have Sheila do that and she will delegate it, please, to the right people.
Okay. Well, I'll wait until we get the confirmation that from you all, and then yeah, we can move forward. So this has been a really excellent session. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for showing up and putting your voice into the room. Even Suzanne, putting it in the chat, thank you for putting it in the chat. We couldn't hear you, but we know you're there and we see your words. And Micah too. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So we're skipping next week, right?
Well,
this session, we're going to replace it with what we have as the live collective intelligence AI designing interfaces for human coordination session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Feel free to be in touch. Take care. Go Meta.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Sorry about the audio.
Oh, it worked. Yeah, I heard you.
I know. I don't know. There's a ghost. I don't know. I don't know. I'm bringing this laptop, and you're gonna fix Stubby. You're gonna help me,
Okay.
and I
All
will
right,
pay.
everybody. Thanks
Okay,
so
bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Rhea.